What's up, guys? George Bilecki here with Foxboro Rush. But hey, check out the latest episode of Boston Has Entered the Chat. Tim Crowley stops by to talk to Red Sox prospects, Christian Campbell, Marcelo Meyer, and Roman Anthony, talking about what he's picked up from their coaches that helped develop them to the point they are today as prospects in the Sox system. We also go through Travis Hunter holding court at the NFL Combine, getting all the attention, what that means for what his outlook is on the NFL, and also what we heard from the Patriots on how they regard Travis Hunter as a prospect. That's Boston Has Entered the Chat. Wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Prime. New episodes dropping every Monday through Friday. Now, let's get to Foxboro Rush. What's up? What's happening? George Bilecki, Travis Thomas. Open your eyes, T.
Oh, sorry.
It's Friday.
I was rocking.
See the light, my friend.
Love it.
You know what it really is, though?
What?
The kickoff to Combine weekend.
Woo!
It's in full effect at this point, my man. This is a full go. We got a packed show for you guys because with the workouts going down, it's every position getting worked out.
Yeah.
But we're going to start with, is it really Eliot Wolf's final say? Or is it Mike Vrabel's? One report is saying it's the head coaches. We'll explain why. We also run through our top prospects we see working out day by day. Defensive backs, tight ends, offensive linemen, quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs. Yes, we're even talking quarterbacks as well. Why? Find out in just a few minutes. Keegan Stiefel will join the show from Nesson.com as well. But Trav, let's get right into it. So Eliot Wolf, when he spoke at the podium, at the NFL Combine, he had interesting comments to make. When he was asked, do you have final say? Do you have the power? He goes, I have final say. But Mike wouldn't be here if he wasn't comfortable.
Yeah.
There was that but.
It was a little hezzy.
Said it with his chest, then backed away. Let's play it right here. Here's Eliot Wolf's comment from the NFL Combine when asked about the power he has over roster control.
Ultimately, it's my final say. But again, Mike said it yesterday. Mike wouldn't have taken this job, and you know, this is something we talked about in the interview process. Mike wouldn't have taken this job if we weren't comfortable with each other. There's not going to be Mike's guys or Eliot's guys. They're going to be Patriot guys, and we're excited to share the vision to work together to improve the roster.
I have final say, but
little hezzy.
But Mike wouldn't be here.
Little hezzy.
So Karen Guregian of Mass Live put out an interesting article, and just to pull an excerpt from that, the quote she said is, Vrabel wouldn't have taken the job if he couldn't make the call on draft day or any day when it comes to the Patriots roster, any day. He wouldn't have taken the job if he couldn't usurp the de facto GM, who's Eliot Wolf, who brought Chuks Okorafor into the Patriots' existence. Vrabel wouldn't have signed on if Wolf, who took responsibility for all of his failures last season, still had the final word. Wolf did his best, however, to make it sound like a collaborative effort, something that had been preached ad nauseum with the prior regime. Wolf still operates with executive VP of personnel title, and he and his staff have done most of the work on the prospects in the upcoming draft. But Vrabel's hand-picked personnel man, Ryan Cowden's also working alongside Wolf. John Stryker, Vrabel's master of everything, is also in the coach's ear. Bottom line, this is Mike Vrabel's show, and everyone else is following his lead. Karen Guregian's been following the team for a very long time.
Yep.
She wouldn't put out an article like this. It's her opinion, but it's backed by well-informed facts, right?
Yes.
And also with it, too, she had the first question at his introductory presser. When he walked out for the NFL Combine, he identified Karen. He said, Karen, let's go. No opening statement. Karen Guregian's one informed person. She knows what she's doing. It doesn't matter what Eliot Wolf is saying at the podium.
Yeah.
What Mike Vrabel said and what Karen Guregian, basically speaking for Mike Vrabel in print, that says everything we need to know, T.
Yeah, but you know what? You and I have been on top of this from the beginning. Why not just get rid of the guy when you had the chance? We shouldn't even be having this conversation.
Yes, we should.
Well, if he's there and he has final say, let it be definitive. But you and I know that's not the truth. I actually believe these reports that Vrabel has it. But my thing is, why not move off of Eliot Wolf when you had the chance? When you got rid of Mayo and the crew, that means Mayo and the crew. I thought Eliot Wolf should be involved in that. Now, because you didn't do that, he's hanging around like an unpaid bill. I mean, what did he do? I hate, you and I have gone back and forth about this. I hate the fact that this guy gets so much credit for bringing in Drake May. That draft class was trash, George. Drake May was Captain Obvious in terms of a pick. Now, when I've said that, I've seen pushback from people saying, well, Trav, he could have taken J.J. McCarthy there. He could have. I mean, come on. We all knew Drake May. Most of us had projected that he would still be on the board. Some of us thought Drake May was the best quarterback in this class.
Yeah.
Some of us thought it was Jaden Daniels and then Drake May and then Caleb. So we were all over the board in terms of who should have gone where, no doubt. But most of us in unison felt like majority, yeah, if Drake May's there, you take Drake May. Duh. You don't deserve a sticker for that, bro.
Yeah.
You don't deserve to keep your job because you took the obvious choice. The rest of that draft class was trash. Personally, I thought you should have got rid of him. Then you wouldn't have this. Now, we wouldn't have talking points, George, to your point. We wouldn't have a segment here. But you wouldn't have this, well, whose final say is it really? Well, no. Listen, this guy has so much pressure on him, George. This seat is en fuego. Eliot Wolf's seat is on fire.
Yeah.
So this must be a home run draft class. You don't have Drake May to fall back on here, George. You don't. I'm sorry. There are some obvious choices, and we'll get to that later. I mean, you know, call me crazy, but if Travis Hunter's on the board at 4, what are we really talking about? If Abdul Carter, if this foot thing, you know, drops his stock and he's on the board at 4, deal with the foot later, okay? I'm not a doctor. I just play one on Foxboro Rush. Take that kid. We'll figure it out. But in the end, what can your entire class do for me? And even at the top at 4, George, there's no guarantee. There is no Drake May for the Patriots to take here. So I don't know why you sort of kept him around, because now you're going to naturally kind of have this little give and take. I know you said it's just his personality. I thought Eliot Wolf seemed a little uncomfortable at the podium. He just didn't seem like he really wanted to be addressing this stuff or any stuff.
No, he did. That's his normal self.
But you said that's just him, so I'm giving him a pass there. But I think keeping him in the fray, you're inviting these kind of storylines, and you just can't have it. And by the way, what if they let him go, George, right after the draft?
Yeah.
What the hell was the point? What was the point? What is he bringing to your draft that you can't bring on your own? What did he do in the last draft besides nothing? I'm not giving him credit for Drake May.
It's the information. It's how everything's organized. It's the scouting on the team. Because the second the draft ends, the scouting for the next draft begins. And that is something that, well, Eliot Wolf is the director of pro personnel. Your scouts on your roster, they're not there on Sundays.
Right.
They're not there on Thursdays. They're in their region, the Northwest, the Southwest,
Midwest,
Texas, Canada, upper Midwest, the North, whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah.
The scouts are all over. He's the guy that controls that. So when Mike Vrabel comes in and Ryan Cowden comes in, Eliot Wolf, who's not the GM, but think about it. He wasn't the GM. Okay, he got usurped by Mike Vrabel and probably Cowden.
Right.
In past regimes, when the GM is fired, the people under them stay because you need someone to show and open up the books. This is how we do the grading system. This is what these numbers mean. We've been scouting this team, this roster for the entire season. Here's all the information we gathered. If you get in and just fire him, he takes the books with him and he goes elsewhere. And so you have to start from January 6th or 7th, I believe, whatever. You have to start from beginning of January, cram everything in January, February, March, and April, while other teams have been doing that since last May. Again, when the draft ends, that's a big difference. That's why he's here. He misspoke. He doesn't have final say. Mike Vrabel would not have taken this job if he's not the one that breaks the tie.
That's right.
And think about it, too, because Ryan Cowden just below Eliot Wolf, they're basically even.
Right.
So if Ryan Cowden comes with a guy and Eliot Wolf comes with a guy, yeah, but who has a final say? They both come with a guy. Vrabel goes him or him. That's it. I have the final word. And that's why you keep him. If you got rid of him, you're losing you have to learn the language on how he communicates with the scouts. It's numbers, it's grading systems, which they also changed over. They were doing it one way for the last 24 years, 23 years, however long Belichick was there since he got in. Eliot Wolf said himself, we changed the grading system. We're going the Packer way more, of which he's learned since he was 11 because of his dad, Ron Wolf. And he also said him and Ryan Cowden know each other, and the Packers and the Panthers grade similarly. But, Trav, if I spoke Arabic, you spoke French.
Yeah.
All right, that's not good. If I spoke Spanish, you spoke French. All right, maybe they're a little similar. Maybe I'm off here.
Yeah.
But you come in and you're trying to translate everything, right? From French to Spanish. But I'm not there to help you out. Like, what's this word? Oh, so how do you use this? it's going to take you forever. Hey, this is what this means. All right, cool, got it. And I'm going to apply that to everything else.
Yeah.
It sucks. It's part of the business, though.
Yeah.
The contracts, and it's the same thing. Robert Kraft said, like, we're not set. Eliot Wolf doesn't have, the head of our personnel. We're going to decide that after the draft. Where Robert Kraft, like, foot in mouth when he says that, saying too much. But basically, it's like, hey, that contract's not up till after the draft. And then we have to assess how much we're paying on process, yada, yada. That's what it is. So that's the literal, like, find out how sausage is made, why Eliot Wolf is still here.
I hear you. Listen, to go with your analogy, I would rather lean on Rosetta Stone than keep someone who doesn't have the same damn cachet as they did of the prior regime that just got fired, bro. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I just look at it differently. Let me ask you this, because I know my answer, and I made it clear. However long this Mike Vrabel era goes here in New England, do you believe Eliot Wolf will be a part of it in totality?
No.
Okay, neither do I. So my thing that I've been saying from the beginning, rip the Band-Aid off. Why is he getting another draft? I hear you with the language and all that.
He's not getting the draft. Mike Vrabel's getting the draft. Ryan Cowden's getting the draft. He's giving them the info on these guys that are in the draft.
Right, but I'm saying they can get that on their own. That's where I'm at. That's where we differ.
But their binders are different. And like Vrabel and this staff that he's put together, that's different.
I trust his binders and his staffs more already than Eliot Wolf, who's been here longer.
Yeah.
And I still, with Raves and the new guys, let me read your binders. I'll get myself up to speed.
Yeah.
This other guy who was with the old regime, he should have been gone with them. I'm crying over spilled milk because he's still here. However, I don't think it's for long, George. I really don't. I would not be shocked at all if after this draft, he's given his walking papers.
And if you end up getting the drink that you want, why cry over the spilled milk?
Right.
Because what has Eliot Wolf been doing and his scouts have been doing since the end of the draft? Scouting. What's Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels been doing? Coaching.
Right.
That's a full-time job. There is a reason there's a general manager. There's a reason there's a director of pro personnel, director of college scouting, regional scouts. That's all they do. Mm-hmm. They scout traits. They put it together. They have their whole formula, the guys they identify, the traits that they like, frame, height, weight, arm length, whatever, speed. They have all this. And then they go with those prospects to the coaches and go, these are the traits that we deem are valuable. Can you coach this guy? And they say yes or no. Because you can coach someone, but it's hard to find those traits. And that's what the scouts do to do the full time. When, there's luck to it. Mm-hmm. But when a guy like a Dak Prescott works out and becomes a franchise quarterback, a Brock Purdy's a quarterback that takes you to Super Bowls and NFC Championship games. When a Milton Williams and Josh Sweat, day 2, day 3 picks work out. Yeah. Those are the scouts identifying those guys. Jordan Mailata, 7th round pick for the Eagles. And just because we talked about this on a prior episode of Foxboro Rush, that's why it comes to top of mind. Check out the older episodes on YouTube, by the way, or Spotify. Jordan Mailata was found by the Eagles offensive line coach because he was working out in a pipeline program the NFL has set for international prospects. Mm-hmm. That's the stuff that happens. But the scouts and the GMs are doing that. It is a endless 7 days a week. Every week of the season, coaches are poring over film. Practicing, trying to find solutions to the shortcomings and adjusting to their opponents. They don't have enough time to scout. But again, it's Eliot Wolf has the key to the door that opens that vault.
No, I get that.
And if you fire him, you don't know where anything is. That's what it is. Just imagine you're in a library. You have no idea how they organized it. It's a completely different language. But there's the one guy that goes, well, that's there, that's there. And think about it like this, too. That's a guy, he may not be at peace of just getting let go. He has to fight for his job. He has to prove his worth to Mike Vrabel. And he has to prove his worth to 31 other teams.
Well,
it's not like he's going to do a sabotage or anything.
You gave a lot of examples of other teams with these late round gems. I didn't hear one Patriot because this guy has got me 0 results.
Kyle Duggar, he was here for the Kyle Duggar draft. Christian Barmore.
You use that.
Mike Onwenu, 6th round pick.
You use that library reference. He's the guy that has a key to the library. I'm ready for someone else to bring in their books. I'm ready for a new library. That's where we differ. That's where I get off the ride with you. I hear you. This is a big draft. What you're saying, this is a huge draft for Eliot Wolf. This will shape his future.
It's a huge draft for Mike Vrabel.
What I'm saying is I've seen enough.
Yeah.
I've already seen enough.
Yeah.
I don't have faith in him to make the right decision. In fact, here's one that I don't even like saying this because I don't want to speak it into existence. You know how many mock drafts I've seen now where the Patriots take this Will Campbell kid, who I know we'll talk about later, and Travis Hunter goes 5. Just seeing those mock drafts. You know what, George? I almost lose it every time. And I have to remind myself, it's just a mock.
Exactly.
It's
It's not real life. As a guy that mocks nonstop.
Yes. I could see Eliot Wolf being in the room with Travis Hunter on the board or an Abdul Carter on the board and saying, well, we really need to take this. Bro, like I've seen enough. And even some of those players you name, Duggar, Barmore, I love those players.
Yeah.
But they're not enough for me to look at this guy in totality. Yeah, you give me a couple names, but how many draft picks did this guy have? It's not enough where I have faith in him. When I hear, I have the final say, and then he takes that breath and goes back to Vrabel and kind of catches himself.
That's the real topic of conversation.
It really is. It really is. And I guess I'll end it with this. I'd rather Vrabel have the say. I'd rather Vrabel's team just be in charge of everything, which is why I don't understand why dude is even here. Although I understand what you're saying.
Yes.
I still would rather another language, another book, another library, whatever analogy you want to use.
You would never be able to find what you need. And that's
Never.
and you have to be efficient.
I build a whole new system.
If you buy a
I build
house,
a whole new system.
If you are looking at a house, you walk in and say you have the budget of like, hey, I want to build my dream home, right? One way or another.
Yeah.
But you walk into a house, you're like, damn, the flooring's good. Look at the wood beams, the framing.
Good
What
guts.
year was this built?
Yeah.
How old are the trees that were used? 1,000 years. You're not going to tear down the whole thing. That's dumb.
Right.
You're going to go with the framework that's in place and then build it and mold it into your own. That's year one of Mike Vrabel. This is offseason year one of Mike Vrabel. And that's why Eliot Wolf's here.
Yeah.
Love it, hate it. The
like a
guy does serve a
transition.
purpose. And here's the thing, right? Also with everything, you go through what he said in the presser. It's sometimes you read quotes and go, they read worse than they sound. It sounds worse than it reads. This is what he said. Every hit on Jacoby and Drake during the season, I felt responsible for that. Ultimately, it's my final say that was a bad one. He also said, maybe being more thorough with some information. We got into some of the players. It wasn't as thorough as it needed to be. He took full accountability.
He did.
He
did
said
that.
it. And it's the same thing. Hey, whenever you watch Robert Kraft speak, you're thinking like, this guy, like 11 billion, like doesn't seem the sharpest. But then you read his quotes, you're like, no, that sounds great. That makes sense. I agree with that. That it's like, don't get caught up in the delivery of it all, right? Don't get caught up like some of the most brilliant people you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
Not the best public speakers, right? Some of the best public speakers aren't the most brilliant people. You're looking at one right now on your monitor wearing pink. All right, fine, you too.
Yeah.
I think you're a brilliant human and a brilliant public speaker though. So but hey, that's me over here. But that's what it comes down to. What's big is that he goes, I will have final say, but because also think of the timing of this. Mike Vrabel speaks first, never mentions Eliot Wolf once.
No. And he's total in control, George. Calm, cool, collected.
Eliot was in
swag.
control too. And then Mike Vrabel doesn't mention Eliot Wolf once, but talks about, without saying it, saying, I wouldn't be here unless I was comfortable with the personnel.
Right.
Eliot Wolf speaks, then this article comes out. That's Mike Vrabel picking up the phone and going, hey, Karen, what's up? All right, cool. I got this for you. Bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
Put this out right now. Run with it. I got you.
No doubt
Gospel.
who's in charge.
No
doubt.
That's what it is, too.
Yep.
That's where a lot of when reports come out, I go, well, let me hear. Okay, that's an agent. Oh, okay, that's a team, right?
Yes.
That's how it is. Like T. Higgins tweeting out a cap, like we've spoke about it on the last episode of Rush, but T. Higgins tweeting out a cap emoji. Yeah, that's the Bengals giving him a number. His agent called him going, this is BS. And T driving up, they got to negotiate. Someone's going to start at 25 mil. Someone's going to start at 35 mil.
Yep.
They get to 30 million. They both win, right?
Negotiation.
And that's what this is. This is Mike Vrabel speaking through Karen Guregian. And that's what he is. He's laying his foot down. Like, I give credit where this wasn't anything vague. Vrabel wouldn't have taken the job if he couldn't make the call on draft day. He wouldn't have taken the job if he couldn't usurp the de facto GM. Bottom line, this is Vrabel's show and everyone else is following his lead.
That's it.
Here it is.
Yes.
Bottom line.
Definitive.
Exactly.
I'm good with that. That's what I'm saying. I just, some of me just thinks it was a whole new gang. I wish it was a whole new gang, but I
do
get
too.
it.
Hey, I was a guy, get macro,
Yes.
Cam
Yeah,
Stewart.
you were.
Get Eliot Wolf out of there.
Yeah, you were
Get all
banging
the
that drum.
retreads of Bill Belichick out of there. I said that, but I understand why one of them is still here. I don't think Matt Groh has any power.
No.
Alonzo Highsmith still will because that's a guy that has ties to Robert
Yeah.
Kraft more of.
Sure.
And that's fine. Like, neither here nor there. It is
Right.
what it is.
Right.
But Wolf, the only power he has is the key to the room. Which, hey, by the way, think about it like this too. The second you see that key, you go, I need 3 copies of that. One for Vrabel, one for Cowden, one for everyone else.
Now you're talking.
Okay, now you got me.
Now you're
Look
talking.
at this, man. See?
Negotiation,
We come
compromise.
through.
Yeah.
And
No
if
doubt.
you don't make that copy,
No
I'm
doubt.
just I'm gonna beat the out of you and get that key.
I will get that copy.
but don't, please. If you're enjoying the show, be sure to check out Netson's daily sports podcast, Boston has entered the chat. We talk about all the trending sports news in Boston and around the country, available on Amazon, Apple, Spotify, Twitch, YouTube, and wherever else you get your podcasts. That's Boston has entered the chat. He's Keegan Stiefel, Nesson.com. We're going to be talking some combine. So defensive backs and tight ends work out Friday, today. Quarterbacks, receivers, running backs work out on Saturday. Sunday, March 2nd, the biggest day of the year in the year of our Lord and Savior, 2025.
Look at
Offensive
this.
line works out.
The big boys.
Not even the workouts,
Boring.
measuring the arms.
That's right.
Oh, we got to measure the arms.
Yes.
A bunch of physicals going on.
Hey,
It's
Will
awesome.
Campbell doesn't want you to measure the arms too soon. Hoyo.
Not soon enough, if you ask me.
Yeah.
So let's start it, though. Defensive backs, tight ends, they work out Friday.
Yep.
Keeks, who's a defensive back the Patriots should have their eye on in your eyes?
Yeah, I think with what they're looking for, it's going to be a CB2, a guy who needs some versatility on the back end. So Denzel Burke out of Ohio State was the guy I went with. I want to know why he fell off so hard. Because 2 years ago, people were looking at him like the best corner in the draft. And then he went back to school trying to chase a championship. He got it, obviously, clearly, but he kind of fell down the depth chart a little bit. He wasn't out there guarding wide receiver ones for other schools. They kind of played a team defense where he didn't look like he was at his best. So I want to know during the combine when we see him test, we see him go through the individual drills, was that a matter of the scheme or was that just he's not physically up for it? We saw something similar with Sean Wade, who came through the Patriots system. He was also at Ohio State where he went back to school. They moved him outside from being kind of a nickel corner, and his production fell off a cliff. So is it the same thing with Denzel Burke? I think we'll find out a lot when we see his testing numbers. We see everything come out this week.
I like that. That's a guy you're saying to watch for because you're intrigued. It's not a guy I
Yeah.
watch for because I love.
Like, he's awesome. We know that already.
He can be good, really good in press. And he's also good in man coverage, but yeah, can't get beaten. I wonder, like, full seriousness on this like theory of cornerbacks from Ohio State. You would think if you're going against those wide receivers every day, you'd be absolute studs because you're
Yeah.
going against the best of the best.
Right.
Cornerback's all a confidence position. And I wonder if just getting your butt beat every single day, one-on-ones, practice, and then on game days getting your butt beat again, just like the mental confidence of these corners coming out of Ohio State doesn't check out. Like, I'm
Right.
just serious on that.
I understand that, but also you look at LSU, and they're just wide receiver and DB factory, right?
Facts.
Like,
Hey,
their
great counter.
cornerbacks are awesome.
Yeah.
So
Something better in the water.
I do
in-
think
in
maybe there's
Louisiana.
something there, though, because
Yeah.
when Emeka Ibuka and Marvin Harrison and Jackson Smith and Jigba, and I could name 45 other guys
Yeah.
in the last
Yep.
few years,
Yep.
he's guarded all of them, and I'm sure they've kicked his butt the entire time.
Yeah. Trav, what about you for D-backs?
Thank God. I couldn't wait till you guys came to me because you know exactly where I'm going. You know, it's funny. All the scuttlebutt and the reports and this guy here and that guy there and this guy here. You know what's funny? It appears as though perhaps one Travis Hunter, who I've only been telling you both since college football season, belongs in New England. I remember saying, keep losing, Gerard Mayo. Not that you have a choice. It's all you know how to do as a coach. But keep losing so they can secure the #1 pick and get Travis Hunter. Well, damn, man. They couldn't even get that right, could they? So here they are at 4. And all this time, because you guys are obsessed with mock drafts, I'm just like, you know what? He's not going to end up here. He's not going to end up here. And every time I look around, it appears as though Travis Hunter, he may be there at 4. That's exactly what I'm looking at this week. I don't need you to work out, dog. I need you at the podium doing what you're doing. You guys saw it. You saw the quotes. Oh, no, I'm playing 100% of the snaps. I'm playing corner and receiver. That's what makes you you. I love hearing that from Travis Hunter. This is why he's a Heisman Trophy winner. This is why he's done something that no one's ever done in college football. history. How old is college football? Since the beginning of time. Travis Hunter's been doing things that no one's ever done
153.
before. I mean, Hercules looks at Travis Hunter. He's like, damn, I ain't never seen that. You got to take this kid at 4 if he's there. I don't need him to work out. Just be at the podium. Let me see how you handle everything. Interview. Let me see how you handle everything. This guy is a stud. If he's at 4 and you pass him, I will lose my mind. Patriots, don't overthink it. Just like Drake May. We knew he was the best quarterback on the board, and you took him. Good job. Handshake. Do the same thing with this kid. If he's there at 4, don't overthink it. Don't be dumb. Take Travis Hunter. Generational talent.
If the Patriots have Travis Hunter there at 4 and they pass on him, they're morons. And and Mike Vrabel's smart. Ryan Cowden's smart. Let's just end with Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel is smart, and he can say as much of affecting a quarterback, line of scrimmage talk. If Travis Hunter's there, you take him.
Absolutely.
Because a great cornerback duo helps affect the quarterback. Because if no one's getting open, that D-line and pass rush gets to him
The
eventually.
defense rests, Your Honor.
Yeah, he's a good football player. I don't know what else I can add to that.
Literally, there's nothing to add to him at this point.
Yeah, he's good.
Keegs, you and I even chimed in of like the prospect fatigue that we could get with the Travis Hunter,
Yeah.
where people are going to get so tired of talking about how amazing he is that they're just going to like find faults. They're going to say maybe he's not all that. You're going to build him up into something he's not.
Yeah.
He's the top prospect in this draft, in my opinion. Look, Kobe Bryant. I know I've been big on 6 foot 190 for the minimum for my defensive backs. This guy's 5'11", 171, but he's a ball hawk. He can play nickel and outside corner, which Mike Vrabel spoke about. That nickel position's really important. I know they have Marcus Jones. I say they should bring back Jonathan Jones. But this is a guy with his speed, how good he is in zone, excels in that, and is also good in man coverage when he was playing for Kansas. He's the one that slots back into that free safety role, controls a deep portion of the field, and that allows your guys, your best athletes, Kyle Duggar, Jabril Peppers, to play into the box, play where they're supposed to be. I think it's a guy that steps in as a corner, then down the road becomes that free safety. Let him acclimate for a year to the NFL. When you're done with Jabril Peppers and his contract, that's your new free safety. What about tight ends for you guys?
Go ahead, Keegs.
I had to bring a weirdo into this. I couldn't just go with like.
You weren't going to go with Harold Fannin, your boy?
Right. So I've
like
talked
him.
about him 27 times on this show.
You have.
And I'll continue talking about
I like him.
But who I'm thinking about right here, Brent Keithy. And if you watch college football, you know exactly who I'm talking about.
Keithy.
He's 25 years old. He's been around. He's my age. I graduated college 4 years ago. This guy is old. He played with Snoop Huntley at Utah. He played with Dalton Kincaid at Utah.
Wow.
He played with Zach Moss. I feel like Zach Moss is on his second contract. So this guy's been around the block a few times, but when I look at him, I see a Dalton Kincaid. I see a versatile tight end. He can play like multiple alignments as a tight end. He's really athletic. He's had a couple injuries. I want to see, where are you at? 25 versus 21 is very different. And not to be like the 25-year-olds are old, but in this scenario, they are.
Yeah, you are where you are.
Physically, do you stack up with these 21-year-olds? Are you as athletic as they are? Do you have too much tread on the tires? You know what I mean? So I'm excited to see that aspect of what he can do, because of what I know he can do is get open and catch the football. And if the Patriots really just want to add an extra receiver in the room, they already have Hunter Henry. Maybe they'll retain Austin Hooper. If they just want a third guy who can really be there as a fallback plan, this is who it is. You can go get him in the 6th or 7th round, and he can be a legit player for you.
And that'd be great as Hunter Henry's on the last real year of his contract.
Right. Yeah.
Once he's out, a guy like Keithy, you allow him to develop. What about you, T?
I'm on Tyler Warren.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, in all
Cornerback
seriousness,
1, tight end 1. I like it.
I'm talking about Travis Hunter, and if you're there at 4, but if you trade back and you're still in that top 10, there's a bevy of guys. You guys know I like Ashton Genty, but I also like Tyler Warren, and I would understand it more so because of what we're seeing with the T. Higgins news. There is no top wide receiver 1 available without a super steep cost.
Yeah.
So I'm with Keegan. I mean, Henry and Hooper, I'm good with keeping them both and adding a Ty Warren into that, because you just need pass catchers. You just need guys that can make plays. So if I'm going tight ends all over the field, I don't give a damn. I mean, wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, can someone please, for the love of all things holy, make a play for me? That's what I'm looking to do, is bring in playmakers. This kid was making them at Penn State. He is an absolute stud. If you trade back, acquire another pick later, and still get a Ty Warren in like that top 10, 11, 12 range,
top 15,
I'm with it.
Hey, 6'6", 260,
Yeah.
moves so well.
I'm with it.
And he's the
Ridiculous.
hands, like I like saying vacuum hands. I mean, they just swallow the football.
Yep.
Such good hands, good body control as well, really good on the boundary. Like Keegan, I'm looking at like a 7th round guy, Gunnar Helm out of Texas. I mean, he's 6'5", 240. He's Austin Hooper. He's a former basketball player, and he uses that type of standout in the state of Texas to help him out in the red zone. Knows body control, knows framing, how to be around defenders, good catch radius as well. That's where I look at tight end. Tyler Warren's one of one. If he's staring you in the face, you're taking a weapon. But if they're looking at tight ends, a Helm or a Keithy makes sense. Like those guys are a tight end. Tyler Warren is a weapon. You put him wherever he flourishes, so that's why I look at that part. If you're enjoying the show, check out new episodes of Foxboro Rush every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeart, Apple as well, and also watch on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook on Nesson's YouTube channel. All right, let's take a quick look at wide receivers and running backs now. So, QBs, we're not going to talk much about. Like, I'm writing down Will Howard, but like, you know what the beauty of it? You don't have to look at it. Like, you really
You didn't want
don't
my
have
Tyler
to invest.
Shaw minute?
God.
I
No,
got
just-
time.
There you go. Sweet. Wide receivers. Trav, who you got at receiver?
I mean, is there an echo in here? You know, I just talked about a kid
Oh, I see.
at corner.
I see.
But the funny thing is about him in that soliloquy that I went on, so I won't do it again. I won't bore you guys to tears, but I just like to mention that kid, Travis Hunter, is also a stud. Not good, a stud wide receiver. You know who would love to look on the outside and see Travis Hunter? Drake May. You know who would love to look on the other side and see Travis Hunter?
Christian Gonzalez.
So,
I almost said Christian Barmore.
I mean,
I'm sure he'd love it too.
I think everyone on the roster
Touche.
would love this kid. Travis Hunter is a wide receiver that I'm watching. But Trav, he's not going to work out. He's not going to. He doesn't need to. Pop in the tape. Travis Hunter. Alpha and the Omega.
I like
the
this,
end.
now more than ever. Like the pure guys, the elite guys. I could not care less if they worked out at the combine. They have all that tape.
Doesn't
They-
matter.
Right.
Check the tape,
Cool.
dog. Check the tape.
Exactly. We're all lock and step. Keeks,
Yep.
what about you for a receiver?
Jack Besh is a guy we saw at the Senior Bowl,
Yep.
and he was awesome. Again, what do the numbers look like though? Like, is he really that good? You know, like when he goes up against NFL talent,
Yeah.
speed, is it there? The
Right.
strength, is it there? Is the
Right.
lateral agility there? Because he's going to be playing in the slot. So
Yep.
can he get open against a guy like Marcus Jones who can cut on a dime and he's fast and all these different things? I'd like to see that. So I think we're going to see good numbers. I don't know if we're going to see great numbers. This is the difference between a second-round pick or a third-round pick, or maybe even a guy who sneaks up into a first round, because these teams that are picking on the back end, Kansas Cities of the world, Pittsburgh, stuff like that, they just need a guy who can play right now.
Sure.
So if maybe Pittsburgh likes what they see after the combine, they know he can play football, they know he's got the intangibles to be able to plug him in right away. I think we're going to see him more than maybe any other receiver, the variance between where he's drafted, depending on what he does this weekend.
This is a guy that needs to work out because he has all those
Absolutely.
questions.
Right.
And that's when I watch his tape, like I see the production, I see the big build, but when you watch him on tape, it's just like he looks slow. Like you're getting open against Big 12 defenses,
Right.
but can you get open at the next level? And that's just what I wonder. I like him as a prospect. I don't love him. Again, that's a guy you should watch. A guy that I do love, but you still need to watch, and to me, it's Jaden Higgins. 6'4", 215, taller, bigger, faster, stronger Jacoby Myers. That's the thing. He projects at the next level as a slot. You're going, but that size, you want him outside wide?
Right.
What if you're just a really good slot receiver? And that's what I want the Patriots to watch for with the Jaden Higgins. What if you're just a really good pass catcher? Like, don't get caught up in where their alignments are, and they could be complementary, and he's a bigger target than what they have in the slot right now.
Yeah.
And also with it, too, of the talk that Eliot Wolf mentioned, too, same thing about Jalen Polk of, well, we threw too much on his plate. Okay, Mike Vrabel's not married to Jalen Polk.
That's right.
He doesn't care about him. He really doesn't. And they will take a Jaden Higgins if they don't care about a Jalen Polk. It's a little redundant, but that's why I want them to watch, where they go, look, this guy is just better all around coming out of college than Jalen Polk was and maybe will be. I see the higher ceiling. I'd like them to go with the Jaden Higgins in that scenario. What about running back? Keegs, I'll start with you on this one, Keegs.
It's another guy who maybe the name value isn't there, but LaQuint Allen out of Syracuse. I had the unfortunate distinction of watching a lot of Syracuse games this year. They just happened to be in the time window when I was watching, they were there. Kyle McCord was there, my arch nemesis. I had to see how he was doing. And every time I watched Syracuse, I was like, who is this guy number one? This running back might be the best receiver on their team. He's definitely their best running back, obviously. They're giving him the ball 20 times a game. They ran their offense through a running back and back shoulder fades. Not a recipe for success, but they somehow won like 8 games and won a bowl game. And it's because this kid was so good. I think he fits the Patriots' needs at the position perfectly. Antonio Gibson isn't going to be here forever.
Yeah.
Ramondre Stevenson, you have the fumbling issues, but fact of the matter is he's a really good running back.
And he's still under contract.
He's still under contract. You just paid him. But you can't continue to give him the ball 25 to 30 times a game and expect him to hold on to it. That's just not how it works. Like, the more reps they get, the more likely it is that they're going to fumble. LaQuint Allen, I think, can play right away. He can play on third downs right away, and he can develop a rapport with the quarterback right away, which we saw last year because McCord transferred in. They only had so much time to get used to each other. So another guy where let's see what he can do at the combine. Athletically, where is he? And then on the field, on-field drills, how is he catching the football? Does it look natural? Because I see it on tape. So if I see it at the combine, it's confirming these biases is what everybody talks about. I think he's going to be able to do that. I think he's going to launch himself into conversation with those second, third round running backs. I think he's that good.
Really big hands, long arms. He's a good
his
pass.
Hands are huge.
Really good route runner too.
He's a wide receiver who can play running back. It's like Antonio Gibson. I think that's the comp.
Exactly. That transition you make. He reminds me of an Aaron Jones with his route running when he lines up in the slot on the outside as well. Right? Exactly.
I hope he's getting some NIL money from La Quinta Inns because it kind of sounds like his name, right?
He should have. He should have went to school in the South because they got La Quintas everywhere.
LaQuint Allen, Gatorade Player of the Year in New Jersey. All right, Trev, who do you got for running backs?
I didn't even do that on purpose.
Exactly.
Yes, you did.
You know how to butter me up.
By the way,
let's see.
What?
No, just go. Sorry,
I can't wait.
I can't wait to hear who you go
Well,
with.
actually, I want to go back. It's another reason I don't like Eliot Wolf, George. Remember how you said the quote? Eliot Wolf's like, maybe we put too much on Jalen Polk. What'd you think? He was Jerry Rice? Like, what the hell did you give the kid? Why'd you give him all the pressure?
Yeah.
Why'd you give him the juice?
Yeah.
What'd you think this was? Megatron? I mean, this guy. Anyways, I digress. As I brought up with Tyler Warren, there is a scenario. We all understand it. Carter's off the board. Travis is off the board. Maybe they trade back. No problem. You two taught me to be okay with that, to accept that. So, if you trade back and you're still in the top 10 on the back end of it, can I get my hands on Ashton Genty, please? Again, this is another guy. He ain't doing no damn workouts, nor does he need to. I am curious to see him at the podium. I am curious with his interviews. One thing I've already seen with him that I didn't like that went viral was a sit down with John Gruden where he's like, hey, I'm not changing my running style. I don't hunch over. I stand straight up. I'm not changing it. I've been doing it my whole life. That's something I want to dig into because if I'm Mike Vrabel and I'm no nonsense, if my coach tells you to get down in a running back stance, guess what you're doing? You're getting down in a running back stance. So these are things I want more of this week to come out about this kid. I want to hear more. I want to see his measurables. What's his weight at? I need all these things from Ashton Genty because, as I've said before, and that's why I brought up Tyler Warren, you need playmakers. You need people that are going to make plays. If it's not at wide receiver, so be it. It may be at running back. Keegan just told you the guys in the running back room, okay? They ain't great. They're not scrubs, but they ain't great. They're nothing to write home about. Ashton Genty is. He could change your offense with a Drake May. So that's a guy I had my eye on.
It's something, too, I keep going. If they trade back and they take Ashton Genty,
woo!
That means they had such a good run in free agency.
Yeah, facts.
That's like the best sign. It's
facts.
Like if Dak Prescott is ever playing in the Super Bowl, you know he's playing out of his effing mind.
That's right.
And that Cowboys team is so talented.
Yes.
So it's like people throw out, if the Cowboys and people go, it's never going to happen. Hey, if it was happening though, just understand how the stars would have to align. Is it realistic for the Pats? I don't think so.
Right.
But I get it why you want to watch Genty. And plus, 5'8", 215, his low center of gravity, the way he bounces off tackles.
That's what I'm saying,
the kid's
bro.
a stud. You guys know it. And again, this is a guy I want to watch, but the player that I love at this position, Keegan, who am I going to name right now?
A little D. Edwards from Michigan.
Donovan Edwards from Michigan.
You do love him.
Look, he had an awful this past season. And that is a guy that relies on his situation to be good. But His acceleration, his explosiveness out of the backfield, his pass catching ability, his route running once again, just how good he is with the ball in space. This is a complimentary piece you could get in the 6th or 7th round. He is so good. 5'11", 210, built well, can pass block as well. His pass protection's there, high IQ. This is a guy that helps out your quarterback. And in the later rounds as a complimentary piece, again, if Lakeem Allen is going way too high and you don't like the price, Ginty, the price is way too high. You're way too rich for that. But in the back ends, you can get a Donovan Edwards. Yeah, you may miss on those two other guys. You may miss on an Omarion Hampton out of UNC. Donovan Edwards, great consolation prize. So that's a guy I want them to watch and scout. And understand the running back room moving forward, it needs to be addressed in this upcoming draft to have that foundation laid down. So I absolutely love Donovan Edwards out of Michigan. Hey, if you want to stream the entire Sox season with an NESN 360 annual plan, it's available at an all-new reduced price of just $20 a month paid annually. And for a limited time, get 4 free tickets to Fenway with your purchase. Visit NESN360.com to sign up today. All right. This is the exciting one now, guys.
Oh, boy.
This is where really
I'm not
gets
kicking
good.
you out, Trav, but if you want to get up and
Can I
take
just
a
go
walk.
first? Just set me up first so I can say the big names, and then you guys can bore me to tears with these guys I never heard of.
Might be the best way to go about it.
I kind of want to torture you. Keegan, who do you have first?
Oh, God.
Let's talk versatility on the offensive line.
What
shall
school
we,
does
folks?
he go to? Is it a school I've heard of?
It is. It's
All
a
right.
school that we've talked about.
Thank God.
Donovan Jackson out of
Oh.
Ohio State.
Yes.
This is a guy
All right.
who was not only a starting guard for the national champions, they had so many injuries, he ended up being their starting left tackle throughout the entire playoff run. Listen to the teams that they played and beat that he didn't give up a sack the entire time. Tennessee, first round, no
Yep.
problem.
Yep.
Oregon in the Rose Bowl, no problem. Texas in the Cotton Bowl, not a problem. Notre Dame in the national championship, easy peasy.
Some great defenses.
This guy is a stud.
Yep.
He's going to be a guard at the next level. Like, whether or not he can play tackle, I think is a real question mark. When we're talking about length and size and
Yeah.
all that stuff, he might not come up to what you expect out of a tackle, but he's a good football player. He's a great offensive lineman. And what the Patriots need to do is just add good offensive linemen. So
Good
when there's
football
one
players.
sitting there staring you in the face, whether it be the 4th round, maybe in the 3rd round, just go ahead and take him. Like, Layden Robinson, you want to keep working with him. You think maybe he has something great. Why don't you just get a starting guard right there and not have to worry about putting all these chips into some basket where maybe Cole Strange could be your guard. Maybe it can be Layden Robinson. How about you just get the guy and you don't worry about it? I'm sick and tired of talking about all these guys they've drafted in the past that they want to develop into starters. Just take a starter, have him sit there for the next 4 years when you're paying him squat, and then figure it out again when you get there. That's what winning teams do. Winning teams, they draft, and they don't need to develop because they have these guys who can play right away. You saw it with Philadelphia. You saw it with Kansas City, even though they had injuries and they had to move guys outside. They ended up paying their guard, but Trey Smith was a 6th-round pick. And they're placing the franchise tag on him right now because he's that important to their team. Guards can be that important, and I think they need to focus on not only a tackle in this draft, but also a guard.
Wow.
Creed Humphrey, too, late round pick.
Yeah.
For the
All
Chiefs
these
as well.
guys, like it's insane the amount of playoff teams who have starting centers and guards who were taken in the middle rounds, and everybody passed over them because they weren't a tackle. They didn't have the length.
Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, day 2 picks. I'll just say it ad nauseum. Jordan Mailata story's insane, 7th round pick.
Yeah.
And played rugby.
Yeah.
Trav, give me an offensive lineman you're
Will
liking.
Campbell, thank you. Good night. No, in all seriousness, I know
This
it's
is a good convo because Keegan and I are both in on Will Campbell.
I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
He makes sense.
But this week, I am focused on the arm length thing.
Hey.
And listen, I'll
My
be
guy.
honest with you. Some of it is
Never
because,
thought I'd hear those words come out of your
Well,
mouth.
here's why. There's a personal story here. So, 2 things. I'll do them both quick.
Young
arms
Travis.
aren't
You
long
remember when Kenny Pickett came out and everyone said, all the evaluators, his hands were too small. I scoffed. I said, this guy's a stud. I watched him at Pitt beat this team, that team. I bet on him. I did this. I did that. He's going to be just fine. Sure enough, he gets to the NFL. He can't hold on to the ball. Why? The small hands. It did him in.
He's just a little guy.
Here's another quick story.
Hey.
Here's another quick. George, you're trying to set him off, aren't you? Here's another quick story. I remember when Johnny Manziel was coming out. I was all in. Now, we know he had some other issues. We know that, right?
He loved snow.
I'll never forget this.
Loved the wintertime.
Interviewing the great Roger Staubach. Maybe you heard of him. I brought up Manziel. How do you think this kid's going to do? He goes, well, I like Johnny, but Cleveland's cold. It's windy. I don't know if he has an arm to drive the ball in that weather. I scoffed at the great Roger Staubach. Captain America himself told me it wasn't going to work because of his noodle arm in the cold weather. I said, please. Sure enough, again, other issues, but Manziel couldn't get it done. The noodle arm did him in. So, with Will Campbell, I mean, are these arms able to play tackle in this league? Can I take you at number 4? If your arms are too short to box with God, I don't think I can do it. So I'm paying attention to Will Campbell's arm length this week.
At worst, you get a really good guard.
Right.
For 10 years.
I don't want that at 4.
Actually, at worst, you get a great guard. At best, you get a good tackle. You're going to get a 10-year starter. I agree. I don't love it
I
at
don't want it at 4.
Hey, if this offseason goes really well, though.
Yes.
There's the big caveat.
We've seen the report, right? The Patriots, T. Higgins, no thanks.
Right.
We need to fix the trenches.
Right.
And I think the way they approach this offseason and free agency and trades, whatever it might be, I think they're going to address those needs so well to where it won't matter at 4.
Okay.
Like, we're just going to take a guy who could play on the offensive line.
Yeah.
And we'll figure it out from there. But we've addressed the biggest needs, and now we're kind of playing with house money.
All right.
Hey, play the bit. We have a bite for our producer, Ethan. Play Eliot Wolf talking about offensive line play real quick for us, please.
We're excited about Drake May. We're excited about working with Coach Vrabel. And, everything that we're doing is to improve this football team and getting to where we need to go. The fans understanding their frustrations. I share those frustrations. It's been difficult. Every hit on Jacoby or Drake during the season, I felt responsible for that. Just ultimately, we didn't get enough done up front. The game is always won on the lines, offensive line, defensive line, not just because of the Super Bowl. It's always been that way. And, ultimately, just didn't do enough to improve the roster to get it to where we need it to be.
Again, the guy that said everything you want to hear, but that's how serious they take it. He said the wide receivers in the draft, meteor in the middle.
Yep.
So once I heard that, I go, they're not going to go Ted. So everyone get that dream out of your head of them going Ted McMillan with a top 10 pick, which would have been dumb anyway, in my opinion.
Yes.
But that shows, and it says to both of you guys, like if Will Campbell, if everything checks out about him, they're going to look at him and go, let's take him right there and then. He's a sure thing. He'll be a 10-year starter and he helps our quarterback. Or if someone like a Donovan Jackson later in the draft can help. Josh Simmons, a left tackle out of Ohio State, the reason Donovan Jackson had to play left tackle.
Yep.
6'5", 310, suffered a really bad knee injury that ended this past football season for him. It has him in question of when the timeline will be. Patriots have to watch him in the medical part. Right. Check him out. Take as much time as you need. Ask him every single question. Don't leave any stone unturned because this guy doesn't get beat on the outside, moves really well laterally, is a super good pass blocker, has the measurables you want in a left tackle. This is the guy you could take later in the first round because of his injury knocking down his stock. I believe if he didn't get injured and we would have this big gap, especially a team coming off a national championship win. Let's start there. This big gap between college football season and the draft, that guy would be tackle 1. I get it, Campbell. I get it, Kelvin Banks. But Josh Simmons is a left tackle. No more games of versatility. You need a sure thing on that left side. And because the same thing of, we saw Trey Smith get tagged when we didn't expect it. T. Higgins get tagged when we didn't expect it. Ronnie Stanley's not walking out that door in Baltimore. Alaric Jackson's not walking out that door in L.A. You need a left tackle. And then you would have a quarterback and your left tackle cost control contracts. I'll say that a million times. Give me one more offensive lineman you got, Keegs, quick.
Yeah, I said with
More
Varsity
speedy
because
round.
I knew you guys were going to talk about the tackles. But Gray Zabel might be my favorite offensive lineman in the draft.
Yeah.
He can play center. He can play guard. We know that. But he played tackle in college. It was at North Dakota State. Who was he playing against?
Yeah.
A bunch of future plumbers? Sure.
Yeah.
But I think he has the ability to play. Does he have the measurables? Does he have the size? That's a question. Another guy where either way you draft him, it's probably going to have to be in the second round, maybe even the first, but he's going to be a 10-year starter. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. When you're the New England Patriots and you've screwed up the offensive line as bad as you have, you don't get to make these decisions.
Right.
You need to just take good football players.
Yeah.
And he's one of them. Donovan Jackson's another. Just take the sure thing.
32 and a quarter inch arms. That was his measurables from the Senior Bowl. tiny arms. I love Jake Majors out of Texas. You're going to need a center.
Yeah.
6'3", 315, had 56 starts. Once he took over as a sophomore, he just never let go from that point on. Watch a tape of him playing Georgia in the SEC championship game, one of the best D-lines, one of the best interior defensive lines in the country, and he absolutely stonewalled those guys third down after third down after third down. Really good work with his hands. Always lands a first punch, and that's big. You just need to win.
Yes.
It's a game of seconds when you're pass blocking for your quarterback, and he always wins with the first punch. That's essential. Leaves some stuff to be desired in the run game, but this is a guy who could get 5th, 6th round. I would love that for a center, especially his high IQ to help out your rookie
I don't have a
quarterback.
problem with that. He plays against SEC talent.
Yeah.
I get it. Where you guys get into the weeds and you drive me nuts is when you're trying to talk me into some kid that doesn't play against SEC talent. I'm not interested.
Hey, one more. Jake Majors also, like, as a center, had to block for Quinn Ewers one drive, Arch Manning one drive,
right.
back to Quinn Ewers. So it'd be a statue or a really good athlete.
Yeah.
His adaptability week to week, drive to drive, even play to play, that says a lot about that whole offensive line play
Absolutely.
up front.
That's a great point, George.
Thanks, man.
That's just professionalism.
You have to be
there.
smart in Sark's system, too. That's not the easiest system.
Yeah,
to
with
learn.
the amount of
Bam!
motion they're
Yeah.
running and
Yeah.
like getting those snaps right when you're running jet motion.
That's
and
right.
It needs to be exactly
That's
when
pro
that wide
style.
receiver's coming across.
Yeah.
You're right. Guys, great points.
Hey, you
I'm
get
smiling.
that in Texas,
You too.
not roast beef tech
I
like
think
you like them, Keith.
the way we just complimented each other.
Yeah.
it's just
Between Jake Majors, a high IQ, and then Trev, you pointing out Sark's system. I didn't
Yeah.
even think about that.
Well, this
Tremendous
is,
work.
I can have conversations when we're talking about guys I've seen play and I've heard
Hey,
of.
all right,
You
to-
lose me at
Get the
Phoenix
all 22.
Online,
Hey,
and
we gave
lose
you
me.
Ohio State and Texas. All right? Take the win, my man.
Also, North Dakota State, like 14-time national champion. If you're not watching 1AA, then that's on you.
Quinn Miners, proud product of UW Whitewater, and is one of the highest paid guards in the
Oh, my
NFL.
God.
Bingo. He's Keegan Stiefel. He's Travis Thomas. Shout out to the people of Wisconsin Whitewater as well. Awesome human beings out there. I'm George Blechy. This is Foxboro Rush. New episodes dropping every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Appreciate you guys making us a part of your day. For older episodes, or if you want to watch more clips, go to Nesson's YouTube page, leave us a thumbs up and a comment, join the show. And also, email us, thechat@nesson.com. and join the conversation that way as well. He's Double T. He's Big Keegs. I'm GB. We'll see you guys next time.